Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I represent, and I guess I should direct my question to Dr. Allison, Mr. Thacker, and Mrs. Dietrich. I represent a part of the country that benefited greatly from the establishment of the U.S. highway system. And when you're in Oklahoma, of course, you're on the old historic Route 66, the commerce road from Chicago to Los Angeles. And it dramatically expanded the availability of services, the nature of the economy in rural America. So let's talk for a moment about, and I know our initial focus is on the urban areas, but let's talk about how long you would expect the benefits of urban air mobility to work from the urban zone out into the suburbs, the rural areas, so to speak.
So I'm happy to take a stab at that,
Please,
and then let my colleagues join in. Honestly, we see the timeline for some of the applications being very similar. At Bell, we are developing all-electric solutions for applications like the Uber network, but we're developing hybrid electric solutions with modular propulsion to extend the range. So the ability to deliver goods and services, provide emergency medical capabilities, things that general aviation already provides to rural communities with these vehicles and with this system, it should be available in a similar time frame. In reality, it may be available to some degree sooner because from an operational standpoint, we will begin operating over lightly populated areas before we operate over heavily populated urban areas.
I would second what Mr. Thacker said. I think that there is a real possibility to bring more rural areas more into some of the advantages that you have in the urban areas, getting access to hospitals, more expedited cargo delivery, things like that. I think this industry has the ability to serve those areas very well, and I agree with the timing, and I agree with that hybrid propulsion solutions that provide a longer range. You know, TF2 has a range of around 200 miles. Those sorts of solutions will bring access to those communities probably on the same time frame as the all-electric versions to city centers.
Yeah, our network, our work is certainly focused on higher density areas because a lot of the ability to drive utilization and load factor into vehicles is one of the ways we're able to drive costs down, at least in our predictions on a cost per passenger mile. So certainly as we extend to less densely populated areas, we'll have to revisit some of those assumptions and look at the way the network flows are modeled as the density decreases.
This question I addressed to the whole panel, but I go back once again to Route 66. When that was initially laid down, the average automobile that would have puttered down the road in Oklahoma would have been a Ford Model T. Very simple four-cylinder, minimal mufflers, no emission control essentially whatsoever, but a very effective, mass-produced automobile that the country, for that matter, the world adopted. And it led to an explosion and huge advancements in automobile technology. Assuming that this is a similar path moved forward a century with the initial success and the mass adoption, because we all tend to move as a group in this great country when it comes to new technology, it seems. Let's go back once more to that issue about how we manage air traffic. If we suddenly go from the Model Ts of the 1920s to the automobiles of the 30s, 40s, 50s, we'll have a dramatic explosion in the utilization of the airspace. I live in a part of western Oklahoma where, while it seems very thinly populated, we're under a military air reservation. We have training flights, primary pilots, the Transport Air Force cargo planes that train all the time. We've got the east-west traffic, the commercial stuff at the higher elevations, which I realize is above where we're talking about going. But let's discuss for just a moment the public-private sector relationship, how we think they'll advance. Can we keep up when it comes to managing that air traffic flow if there is an explosion in utilization?
If I'm, oh, go ahead.
Whoever.
I thank you for bringing up the history of the automobile and bringing that industry online, because when first those Model Ts were rolled out, we didn't have the transportation infrastructure on the ground that we do today either. We didn't have stoplights in every corner. We didn't have the rules of the road.
And my great-grandfather would have said it was a silly fad at the time.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. So we have a history of being able to kind of evolve very quickly in these ways, and I think we will see something similar with these vehicles. And I think we can do a lot today happen, laying the groundwork and preparing ourselves for them. But I think we also do have to stay a bit nimble on our feet and be prepared to adapt as we see where this industry truly goes and where the demand really surfaces. So I think we can, and the work that's being done here is definitely in line with preparing us for that. But I think at the same time, we need to be willing to accept the fact that we don't exactly know how this is going to play out, and that there will be things that arise that we haven't been able to foresee, and that we should be able to adapt as we go and have confidence in our ability to do so.
Thank you. My time has expired, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. The gentleman